We'll call the governing board meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. And I'd like to remind everybody that this meeting is viewable live, and because it is live streamed, we ask everyone to please silence or turn off their telephones at this time. And I believe we have some guests from Mountain House High School here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So Principal Auerbach, and your
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, hello board. My name is Mason Garner.
And I'm Erica Kim.
And I currently serve as our Mountain House High School ASB president.
And I serve as the ASB vice president.
So we came during fall semester to give you what we call Mustang Roundup, which is something we send out to our students. But we thought we'd do it for you for second semester, catch you up on what's happened in between the time we were last here and what we have coming up for the rest of the school year. So starting out, we had our K-8 Leadership Development Day towards the end of last semester in November. So this was a project that we put together with both our grades 10 through 12 leadership class and our freshman leadership class. We invited all of the leadership departments from the K-8 schools we have in our district, and their leadership students came to the high school for a fun day of learning and training along with bonding. And we actually also got to film part of it for our annual lip dub that they're going to be a part of, which is super exciting. So they kind of got to learn what the high school has to offer in terms of leadership so that they can hopefully enroll once they're in 8th grade to join us for their high school journey.
And then we did our winter homecoming, which consisted of the winter formal dance and our winter rally. Our winter rally, known as our Snow Coming Games, was Hunger Games themed with a new movie that came out. And the rally, consisted of many games and great performances from our cheer team, our synergy, and our color guard team. And the winter formal was Cloud9 themed, which was executed by our sophomore class officers, and they've been working on it for the whole year. And it was a great turnout with the new event that they hosted with Olive Garden, where we served them Olive Garden, and it was like a dinner dance.
Next, we went to what's called the Tri-Valley Leadership Conference, or TVLC. So this year was held in San Ramon, and basically it's an opportunity for us to get together with other fellow student leaders from different high schools in the Tri-Valley to learn about what their programs do, what our programs do, and kind of compare, contrast, and take away a bunch of cool things to bring back to our high school to better our leadership department. This year we were able to bring our whole, I believe 81 students in our entire leadership department over to San Ramon High School. And it was a super fun day, and we got free Chick-fil-A, which was nice. And we did a bunch of learning, a bunch of bonding, and it was a super successful trip.
Yeah. Our Blacklight Rally will actually be hosting that next Wednesday, so we're super excited. We've been working really hard on it. It's actually blacklight, so we've been using neon paint, getting neon wear. Super excited for the Spirit Day that's coming up, and we will actually be, it'll be SpongeBob themed. So the upperclassmen are Bikini Bottom and the underclassmen are Chum Bucket. So we're so excited on how that rivalry will turn out, and in our favor, the upperclassmen will take the win. So yeah.
The next thing that we actually hosted just last week is called Breaking Down the Walls. So this is a sort of guided empathy training that we host every year. We bring in the organization Breaking Down the Walls. This year the representative's name was Chapin, and he kind of guides our student body through a series of icebreakers along with one of my favorite activities called Cross the Line, which is where he lines up all the students present for that day's training, and he asks a series of questions. If it applies to you, you step above the line. If it doesn't, you stay in line. And those questions range from things like step over the line if you have a valid driver's license, all the way up to step over the line if you feel lonely at school, or step over the line if you've ever lost a loved one. And it kind of shows you that we're all going through a lot of the same things, even when we don't kind of talk about it out loud. And it's super impactful. So we hosted that actually, I believe, 3 days last week, and it was a super successful training.
So we have a lot of events coming up that we are super excited for. To start off, we have Pi Day, which is also next week, and annually our students get to pay either $3 or $5 to pie their favorite or not so favorite teachers during lunch. So we are so excited to see how many teachers or how many students will show up.
Oh my God, our slides got a little glitched, but that's okay. Next is Powder Puff. Our annual Powder Puff game is happening towards the end of March. And Powder Puff is an activity where basically the football game switches. So we have our guys as cheerleaders and our girls as football players. It's a super fun kind of thing that we do between the upperclassmen every year. And me and Erica are both actually going to be coaching because we're both on the cheer team. So we'll be coaching the kind of pseudo cheer team on our Powder Puff game, which is going to be super fun.
Yes. And we also have our car show coming up, which is going to be hosted on Saturday, April 6th in the morning from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Sorry about that. And our junior class officers have been hosting it and preparing this fundraiser in order to prepare funds for the prom that is coming up in May. So we're so excited because we feel that this is a good event that all the community and all the schools and all the students and staff at the LUSD schools can participate in.
Yes, and then after that we have our night rally, which is one of the most exciting activities we do in the year. Basically, all of our rallies take place during the school day. So this is the one rally that happens after school. And this year, for the first time ever, we're going to try to host it inside in the gym because we normally host it in our football field. And I don't know if you know, but Mountain House gets really windy at night. So it can be very cold. So we're trying to switch it up this year, and hopefully that new change of scenery will make it even more successful. Oh, yes. So I'm a drama kid, and we're also having our spring musical, which will be premiering, well, like a little preview of it at the night rally. Beauty and the Beast come out end of April, last 2 weekends. It'll be super exciting. And our night rally is Disney musical themed. So each grade is a different Disney Channel musical from like Camp Rock, High School Musical, Teen Beach Movie, and Lemonade Mouth, which is going to be super fun.
Yes. So we're so excited for that. And finally, we have our prom, which our upperclassmen are so excited for. We are lucky to have another year and go to San Francisco. This year, we'll be hosting it at the City View Metron. And it'll be a night in the city themed because we're at night in San Francisco. And we are so excited to see what food vendors will be there, the music, and the students are just really excited for this great event.
And last but certainly not least is graduation. It'll be kind of a sad event because we'll both be saying our final goodbyes to Mountain House High School, but also a super big ceremony where we'll get to celebrate all of our seniors and their endeavors after high school. And with that, that's the end of the school year. So we have a lot planned for the rest of semester 2 at Mountain House High School. If you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out. My name is Mason Garner.
And I'm Erica Kim.
And we're super happy you let us talk today.
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Board. I've got one other group that's here to present to you tonight. It's our team, our Skills USA team. I believe there was a request to hear from them at some point in time this last year. So if I could welcome up our advisor, Ms. Jody Larson, and our team. I'll have them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Jody Larson. I'm a culinary teacher at Mountain House High School, and I'm one of the assistant advisors this year for Skills USA. We're super proud of what our kids have done, and they're excited to show you guys.
Hello, it's so nice to meet you all. For the second time, actually, we came here last year to speak about Skills USA's accomplishments and achievements last year as well, and I'm really pleased that we were able to get this opportunity to speak to all of you today. So thank you so much for giving us this chance. So to start off, my name is Neha Bhaskar-Botla. I'm the president of our MHHS Skills USA chapter. So what is Skills USA? Skills USA is a career and technical student organization similar to HOSA and DECA that gives students opportunities for certain career paths. So this organization was founded in 1965 with over 13.6 million students, and it has career competitions in over 16 CTE clusters. This provides over 108 events for students to choose from. This CTSO in particular is different from other CTSOs because students can compete in events such as biomed to business, all the way to computer science and culinary and design. So students can compete at a middle, high school, and post-secondary level. And this organization helps bring not only students, but teachers and industrial professionals together to boost CTE and CTSO education.
So across nationwide, Skills USA is a national organization. There's 480,000 students currently enrolled across 53 different states. And it's about 17,000 different schools that offer Skills USA. These are some pictures from the nationals and states last year. Last year we had 101 students go to State Leadership and Skills Conference. There's some pictures. We also got awarded the Chapter of Excellence Gold Award, which that means is we were recognized as one of the top 10 chapters in California for the quality of our program and our events. And so that's a picture of our reception at the awards night.
So what is our chapter's purpose? Skills USA provides opportunities for students to showcase and be recognized for their ability as competitors in one of their chosen events. You're able to discover what kind of career fields you want to lead to, and it gives that first insight into a vast career paths that we provide. And you're able to make connections with both staff, students, and long-term relationships with like industry partners and business people, which is very good for students that know what they want to go to, and then they're able to make those connections early on in life. Some of the benefits include inclusivity. They're able to work on their career paths. They're nationally recognized. You're able to create a sense of community. You can get scholarships if you do well enough, and you get to go to these conferences, learn how to be an adult from early on, going on those trips by yourselves without parents, and you get to learn how to be a leader.
So Skills USA emphasizes the Skills USA framework, which is a set of how they like to conduct their events. As you can see, we have technical skills grounded in academics, both workplace skills and also personal skills. So Skills USA teaches students all three of these various skills from these three categories, and has an impact on the lives of America's future workforce. By training these skills, they can prepare the future workforce for the industries. So these are some of the different fields in Skills USA. We have leadership development, we have occupationally related ones, so like a bit more specific. We also have skilled and technical science. And finally, we have demonstration events where students can show off what they have learned. And as you can see below, we have 108 Skills USA events in total.
Last year, we had 120 teams competing in regionals. We had 54 of them qualified to go on to states. We won 24 gold medals at regionals, and we won 2 gold medals at states. We won 24 gold medals at states. We had 4 teams go on to nationals. This year we had 127 teams compete at regionals. We won 35 gold medals, 18 silver medals, and 10 bronze medals. We had 71 teams qualify for states this year.
So, as previously mentioned, as a school, we went on to NLSC Nationals over at Atlanta this past summer. And as you could see, as previously mentioned, we competed in 4 separate events. And in 3 of these events, we brought home gold. And by gold, I mean we championed out of 53 states and territories. Now, Atlanta was a really, really fun time, and we made a lot of experiences. And as a school, we learned a lot about how to move forward and how to increase our Skills USA organization to an entirely new level. Next up is our California State officers. Now, as a school, we've been really grateful that outside of our officer team, we've had several of our members go on to become state officers, representing California and organizing all of our Skills USA activities at the statewide level. This past year, we had 3 separate members 3 separate members represent our school on the officer state team, and this year we've had another 1 member representing our school at the state level.
As Skills USA being a competition itself, we do have a stat share from regionals to nationals. So far, we already had a regional competition happen in January and February, so those have passed. Those are hybrid, some are online, some are in school. From there, we went on to states. States will be happening from April 4th to April 7th in LA in the Ontario Convention Center. And then from there, we're moving on to nationals from the selected few who do win at states first place. They move on to nationals, and nationals will happen in June 24th to June 28th, where they'll be traveling without their parents, and they'll display their leadership and confidence here at Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you so much for listening out to us and taking out the time out of your day to listen to us and what we have brought to Mountain Hills High School and this community through Skills USA.
Thank you. Thank you very much for those excellent reports, and good luck to everybody.
Fantastic job. Thank you.
And I know that board meetings are very riveting meetings to attend, but if you do need to be excused to do homework or practice your lines for the play, this would be a great time to leave. So we'll give you a moment to check.
President, I do have a question for Mason and Erica. So you did mention about the car show on March 4th. April 6th, thank you. I just wanted to note down the date because I remember I was there last year at the car show and along with my husband. So his duty was to take pictures as I pose in front of every car. So I had a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to this one too. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Moving on to item 3, roll call.
Lisa Boulay.
Here.
Colin Clements.
Here.
Anita Daniel.
Here.
Stephanie Olson.
Here.
David Pombo.
Here.
Devika Vitolani.
Here.
Moving on to item 4, approval and/or corrections to the agenda.
There are none. Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Based on a motion by trustee Clements and seconded by trustee Boulay, student trustee preferential vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes with 5 ayes, no noes. Moving on to item 5, presentation from demographer on draft trustee area maps and public hearing to gather input regarding draft trustee area maps. Staff report?
Yes, my pleasure to introduce Dr. Doug Johnson to do tonight's presentation on area maps.
Good evening. Pleasure to be with you again. We'll jump right in here. So this has been a fairly extensive process, as you all know, and those who've been following it from the community know as well. Started with initial informational hearings back in January, draft map release, 2 hearings, and a community forum to talk about the draft maps. So those took place all in February. And now we're looking at the boards holding a hearing and then choosing the board's preferred map. This is an unusual process in that the board's decision is not final. So the board chooses its preferred map, and then there's a group called the County Committee on School District Organization that then holds a hearing and votes on that. Folks around here may actually be familiar with that. The County Committee is essentially a LAFCO for schools, if you're familiar with that. So, and that is scheduled for next week, assuming everything goes smoothly this evening. So we go over these criteria at every meeting and at the community forum, so I'll just touch on them very quickly. First, we have federal requirements of equal number of people in each trustee area and compliance with the Federal Voting Rights Act while avoiding racial gerrymandering. Then we have the state's criteria, and these are new this year. The districts have to be contiguous, meaning each part of a district has to touch each other part of that district. We have to minimize the division of neighborhoods and communities of interest. We have to minimize the divisions of cities and census designated places. And census designated places that just became cities yesterday. And then we have to try to follow easily identifiable boundaries to the extent possible, and then try to be compact, avoid bypassing one group of people to get to another group of people. And all these are in priority order, so the compactness is the last priority among that whole list. And California also prohibits, as you see the language there, adopting a map that, for the purpose of favoring or disfavoring an incumbent, a political candidate, or a political party. And the way we've been following that is I've been drawing all these maps based on these criteria and feedback from you and from the community, and I don't know where any of you live. So that keeps it nice and safe. And then if there are two maps that are completely equal in all those criteria, then you can go to what are called traditional redistricting principles and choose the map if you wish. You don't have to, but you can choose the map that has the fastest growing areas with the smallest populations to offset future growth. But in a fast growing community like that, the amount of flexibility we have within that federal equal population requirement is tiny. So it isn't even going to capture what has already happened since the 2020 census. We started out with the 5 original draft maps. Each one kind of took a very different approach to how many trustee areas go out into the rural areas, and then how those rural trustee areas come into the Mountain House, much more densely populated community. We took the feedback from those, and at the second hearing on draft maps talked about these 2 additional maps. I should note the other ones are still on the table. If you want to go back to them, we certainly can. Nothing's ruled out. But one of the feedbacks from that first hearing on the maps was a desire to have all the more rural areas together in one trustee area. So both of these maps do. You can see the pink District 1 all being together. And then also to have Cuesta with the area that's the north part of Mountain House that's not yet developed, so that as it's developed, it's tied into the neighboring trustee area. So both of these maps do that. That then impacts where the other districts are drawn, but you can see in both these maps, there's 1 rural seat, and then the other 4 seats are entirely in Mountain House. And these have all been on the website now for weeks and are in the interactive map, so folks can zoom in and out and see specific street boundaries as well. And I'm happy to answer any questions there are about any of these maps. Also mentioned in the past that the Census Bureau actually came out early, which rarely happens, but came out early with its annual update to the citizen voting age population data. So we did compile that, and no surprise, your data is changing very fast. It's still laggy data, though. This data is collected over 5 years, so even the most recent data is a combination of surveys done between 2018 and 2022. But you can see there's been, as noted on the left, a significant change, and if you dig into the numbers that were all posted days ago, there's been some big changes. We have districts where the Asian American percentage has grown, by up to 10%. And now we have, as you can see on the left, an orange B. When I first showed it, the data showed it had 1 majority Asian American seat and 1 plurality seat. It now has 2 majority Asian American seats and 1 plurality seat. Oh, I think that's a typo. It should be the other way around. 1 majority seat and 2 plurality seats, sorry. And then on the line map, oh yeah, I'm just reading the wrong lines. The line map had 2 majority Asian American seats and 1 plurality Latino seat in the old data. That Latino seat is gone with the new data, given the growth that's happening. And it now has 2 majority Asian American seats as before, and 1 seat that's essentially a tie between Asian Americans and non-Hispanic whites. The biggest change where this really jumps out is that on the far right, the total. You can see 36% Asian American. If you look at the original, compare these to the original forms, Asian Americans were 30%. So just with 1 year's shifting of dropping the 2017 data and adding 2022 data to our 5-year spread, you get a 6% jump in the Asian American population. So all indications are that the increase, the 1 year increase that's shown here, has continued for the last 3 years. So even these numbers are underestimating the Asian American percentages in essentially every district and every map. We've talked about the election sequencing. This is unchanged from the last hearing. This is just which seats would be up in which years. Really, the only one that there's, the only map where you then have to really choose among these plans would be the orange map, where there are different scenarios available. The rest of this is largely straightforward. So that's a quick spin through this. Since all this material, except for the new data, is a repeat from the last meeting, with it fairly quickly. But if you have questions now or after the public hearing, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions from the board this time? Seeing none, we'll go to the public hearing portion. This is the time where members of the public have an opportunity to provide input. I do not have any blue cards. However, if there is a member of the public here who would like to speak at this time, they may do so. Do we have any member of the public that would like to speak? All right, so while Mr. Modi is walking up, I'll just remind you that the entire board appreciates hearing from members of the community and public at large. The board shall give members of the public an opportunity to address the board either before or during the board's consideration of each agenda item, Government Code, Section 54954.3. At a time so designated on the agenda, members of the public also may bring before the board matters that are not listed on the agenda of a regular meeting. The board may refer such a matter to the superintendent or designee or take it under advisement, but shall not take action at that time. The board may place the matter on the agenda of a subsequent meeting for discussion or action. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. All right, Mr. Modi?
Can you bring the slides back up? Is that possible? Perfect. Good evening. My name is Samik Modi. First, I'd like to say it's good that I think at least even one of my previous comments resulted in one of adjustments to the maps and keeping Cuesta and north of Byron as an option together. So I'm appreciative of the fact that input actually did result in some changes. I think between Orange, B, and Lime, I think it makes a little bit more sense to keep Cuesta with the north of Byron. Otherwise, you end up with a lot of rural area along with a yet to be developed area, right? So you'd have a lot of pretty much, call it, a lot of loose ends, I guess, right? So you won't have an established area that could help tie some of those other areas together. So I think the orange map actually does that well by, you've got an established area with parts of Cuesta along with north of Byron as that area gets developed. And then with all the rural areas, it ties in College Park. So other than that, I think in general, I think the process this time has been a little bit better than the first go around. So I appreciate the effort. Thank you.
On behalf of the entire board, we thank you for your comment. Are there any other members of the public who would like to make a comment at this time? Seeing none, we will move on to item 6, committee reports. District Advisory Committee, Trustee Boulay.
Nothing to report.
District English Language Advisory Committee, Trustee Clements.
Nothing to report.
Education Committee, Trustee Pombo.
Yes, the Education Committee next meeting is March 19th at 6:30 at the Professional Development Center.
Facilities Committee, nothing to report. Policy Committee, item E, Trustee Daniel.
The second reading of the updated policies from March is on our agenda to be approved today.
And Safety Committee, Trustee Pombo.
Yes, the next Safety Committee meeting is March 13th at 3:45 here in the District Boardroom.
And Wellness Committee, there is nothing to report. Moving on to item 7, Governing Board reports. Student Trustee Vitolani.
So good evening, esteemed board members. To start off my updates, I would like to begin with Mountain House High School. I have a lot of congratulations today as our students have been excelling in all their clubs, events, academics. So first off, I would like to congratulate Mountain House's speech and debate team. And they competed at the YFL State Qualifier Tournament from February 23rd to the 24th. And during this challenging competition, held at Turlock High School with high stakes of attending the state tournament, the team prepared and excelled with 25 finalists and 15 qualifying for the state championship. On behalf of the whole team, I would like to thank the Mountain House High School and LUSD admin and staff, our team advisors, parents, and of course the students for their support and growth at the competitive opportunities of the team. And our school's DECA members are eagerly preparing for the upcoming state tournament, which will be held tomorrow to the 10th, and we wish our DECA competitors the best of luck as they gain valuable leadership, networking, and marketing skills at this exciting conference. And our high school's American Red Cross Club is thrilled to announce we will be hosting a blood drive on March 15th, and all students and members of the community are encouraged to sign up and to donate to help save some lives. Model UN will be having their 32nd annual high school conference from April 12th to April 14th. National Honor Society will be hosting a Easter festival with many activities open for elementary and middle school students in the community center on March 15th. And a huge congratulations to our mock trial team for their impressive 4th place finish at the San Joaquin mock trial competition. Lastly, academic decathlon, congratulations to our team for their impressive performance at the 23rd annual county academic decathlon. Jordan Pervera and Alan Zhang were the top 2 scorers in the Honors 2 division, and Jordan received 11 medals across various subjects, including first place in art, economics, literature, mathematics, music, science, and social science. And Alex Zhang received 8 medals across various subjects, which include literature, essay, speech, and he also placed second in Honors Division. And of course, the annual showdown of the year is coming up on March 15th at 4 p.m. BSU will be holding a crowd favorite students versus teachers basketball game, and may the best team win. Moving on to ASB updates, as Mason and Erica covered, just a quick overview. So we recently had leadership interviews, and they were held from the 27th to 29th, and we have had over 100 students interview this year, which they all were able to apply after completing their involved projects that demonstrated appreciation and leadership in our school. And over the past 2 weeks, we've been filled with creative campaigning as the students ran for their ASB leadership positions, and the student body now has their new ASB officers. Our Neon Blacklight Rally will be held on the 3rd of March, and it is highly anticipated as one of the best rallies of the year. Students are extremely excited to dress up in neon colors and glow paint for awesome games, dances, and activities under the black lights. And of course, our beloved Pi Day tradition continues on 3/14, promising another great success where hundreds of students eagerly line up to pie their favorite teachers. And this year we have Mr. Auerbach and Mr. Feinstein, so we're really excited to see all the students pie their teachers. Moving on to additional high school updates, as Erica and Mason mentioned, Breaking Down the Walls was a huge success. A lot of students were able to just bond over such meaningful connections and really understand that we're all going through so many different things, and it was just a great way to connect. And I was able to be a leader for my group, and it was an amazing experience. There's no way to put it in one sentence, but I had lots of fun, and I really hope that my group members also did. And Congressman Josh Harder recently announced Anisha Pandey as the first place winner of the 2023 Congressional App Challenge, and her app was titled Neurdraw, which provides emotive-based art therapy and local resources to neurodivergent individuals and to their families. Lastly, teachers will be handing out the Fall GPA Awards to the students this Thursday in advisory, and we've had over 1,400 students with a 3.0 GPA or higher, and nearly 900 with a 4.0 or above. Congratulations, Mustangs. For middle school elementary updates, the basketball team recently had their annual banquet on March 1st, and the players just bonded over some friendly games, and they celebrated the season's accomplishments. And that concludes my report for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Daniel.
Thank you, Preston. Wow, that's a lot of great news from the high school. So I'm just soaking all that in. So I visited my parents for a few weeks, and I was in India. A while back, I remember sitting right here in the board meeting in the open session and sharing that I was going to travel because my mom was sick. And it was so difficult to get words through because I was very deeply sad and scared for my mom. However, I'm just so happy to share with you all that my mom's health has improved, and I feel very grateful to have been there to see her do well. So I just wanted to share the happy news with all of you. Last board meeting, I was all set to be here. And I read the agenda, I was all ready, And then that day I came up with a very painful viral infection, so I could not be here to serve. But now I'm cleared of that infection, so I'm back here. During the time when I was not there, I just want to let you know that I was able to look at all the recordings, and thanks to Noel for her diligent effort towards the recordings, and thanks to Dr. Nicholas for the many calls, long calls, which we had to keep me up with the happenings. So today, on March 6th, I had the honor of being a guest reader at Wickland School for the Read Across America event. I had a wonderful time reading The Sandwich Swap to Mrs. Nagra's class of 6th graders. I really appreciate the kind attention that all the students gave to me, and I would like to thank Mrs. Nagra, Principal Perez, and VP Ms. Beck for giving me this opportunity. So today's spirit costume for the Read Across America was like Silly Hair Day, and I had the opportunity to wear 2 ponytails, which I've never done since like I was an elementary student. So I had a lot of fun doing that, and I thoroughly enjoyed the reading to them. I also met with our HR director, Barrios, today at 1 p.m. to go over the updated policies before the second reading. Thank you so much for your time, and we are ready for going to the approval of that. So here ends my report.
Thank you, Trustee Daniel. Trustee Pombo.
On February 28th, it was my pleasure to be a judge in Miss Schofield's class for Shark Tank. It was a lot of fun. I always enjoy seeing the projects or ideas that the kids come up with and how they plan them out and present them to us for our investment, I suppose. Tomorrow I will be reading at Wickland School for Read Across America. I wanted to do it today for Crazy Hair Day, but that didn't work out.
I don't know, it's pretty crazy there, Trustee Palmer.
And I'm also planning on donating blood at the high school on the 15th, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Pombo. Trustee Clements?
Nothing to report, Madam President.
Thank you. Trustee Boulay?
Thank you, President Olson. On February 26th, I attended the high school JV softball season opener against West High. Mountain House dominated that game with a final score of 19-6, and that was just after 5 innings, so it was a really fun game. It went fast. On this past Saturday, I attended the San Joaquin County Science Olympiad competition. It was a very long day, but it had a great finish. Our Mountain House High School teams took home both the first place and the second place trophies. And our LUSD middle school teams brought home all 5 of the middle school trophies, so first, second, third, fourth, and fifth place. So congratulations to all the participants for learning and for having fun. And I want to give a huge thanks to the coaches and the parents that help with this, because it is a lot of work. It's a huge commitment. On Sunday the 3rd, President Olson and I attended the WASC introduction meeting at the high school. This was in preparation for the accreditation. And I want to give a shout out to the administrators that were there, the teachers, the staff. They really did a great job, I think, describing the programs that we have and articulating the tools that we use to ensure the success of all of our students. And while the teachers and staff were talking and answering questions, I was watching the surveyors looking at their facial expressions, their body language, and they had smiles on their faces. They were doing a lot of nodding. And I may be a little biased, but to me, that's, an impression that we're doing a really good job. So I know it's a long process with 2 to 3 days, so best of luck. I'm sure we did a great job. Both Monday and today, I attended the boys' high school tennis matches at home. They were the first 2 league matches for the year, and the team was victorious both days, so this is a start of a really good season. And then yesterday, I had a wonderful site visit at Evelyn Costa. I'd like to thank Mrs. Pacheco for sharing part of her morning with me. And it was the first time I've been to that school since it's been full construction is done, and it's up and running with the entire campus. And what I really like about this point of time in a new school is that there's lots of space. So I think for the next year or two, they're going to be very comfortable, but I know we fill that space quickly. So, but it's a nice advantage that they get to take advantage of. So thank you, and that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Trustee Boulay. On Monday, March 4th, I went to Wickland Elementary School to read Enemy Pie to Miss Bang's 4th grade class for Read Across America Week, and I had a great time with that class. They made me feel like I was the greatest reader in the world because they were so attentive and wonderful. It was just a delightful experience. I represented, as Trustee Boulay said, the board, along with Trustee Boulay at the WASC meeting on Sunday, and I didn't get the memo about wearing blue polos, but other than that, it was a really great meeting, and I echo what Trustee Boulay said about just being really proud about hearing the teachers and the administrators and what they were saying about our high school and the things that we do at our high school that aren't done anywhere else. And I just wanted to highlight the one thing that really had me beaming was when they were talking about success and how they started with success and how they made improvements to success and started taking attendance for success, and then expanded it to opportunities for students to not just get help if they had a D or an F, but that they also had opportunities to enrich themselves. And on a personal note, I know my daughter often takes advantage of orchestra success, and she doesn't need to. She could have that extended lunch. So I think it's just a real testament to the visionary mindset that allowed that program to be established, and that the staff has such a great buy-in. And so I was beaming with pride to be a board member in this district with everyone. And I'd just like to conclude my report by encouraging everybody to please try to attend the Music Pancake Breakfast fundraiser on Sunday. I think they're really trying to do a good job in raising money for the program, and who doesn't like pancakes? That concludes my report. We're now on to item 8, receiving of public comments. And I've already read our policy on public comments. Is there any member of the public who would like to make a public comment at this time? Mr. Modi.
I didn't read everything I was supposed to read last time, so I'm just going to use 30 seconds to tell you why. On the orange B map, which I think I favored, also it keeps Wickland and the new apartments next to Arnado together as well, so I think that's the closest neighborhood to those apartments. And then I think that one also has the most nearby areas together, as well as the least differences in the, I think there's a difference from Ideal or something like that. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Moving on to item 9, consent items for consideration. Actions proposed for consent are consistent with the approved practices of the district and are deemed routine in nature. Trustees receive board agenda background information in advance of scheduled meetings and are prepared to vote with knowledge on the consent items. Item A, Governing Board Meeting Minutes, regular meeting February 21st, 2023 at 7 p.m. Item B, contracts under $50,000, one contract with Condor Earth Technologies Incorporation, funded through Measure L for $18,257. Item C, ratification of certificated and classified personnel actions. Item D, ratification of school-sponsored overnight trips. Item E, ratification of 2023-2024 inter- and intra-district transfer requests. Item F, ratification of 2024-2025 inter-district transfer requests. Item G, updated 2023-2024 fundraisers. And item H, acceptance of donation, $700 from American Online Giving Foundation, Salesforce, towards materials and supplies for Science Olympiad B at Hanson Elementary School. Does any member of the board wish to poll or further discuss any consent items?
Move to approve consent items as presented.
Second.
On a motion by trustee Pombo and seconded by trustee Boulay, student trustee preferential vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes with 5 ayes and no noes. Item 10.
Point of,
Oh, yes.
thank you.
Madam Clerk, will you please do the honors?
Yes, I am very happy to welcome the following to our Lammersville School District: Michelle Flowers, self-contained classroom teacher, and Alejandra Garcia, student service technician. Welcome to the Lammersville family.
Item 10, district administrative reports. Item A, superintendent's report.
Yes, Madam President, I have one item. Trustee Boulay alluded to it, but she's more humble than I am, so I'm going to speak a little more in depth. We swept the Science Olympiad, and when I say swept, that means we rocked it. At the high school, our high school teams in the divisions, gold first place and the silver place second. So both high school teams won. In the middle school division, Wickland Black, first place. Hanson Gold, second place. Cuesta Ruby, third place. Wickland Gold, fourth place. Costa Teal, fifth place. My understanding is they had the best uniforms and they were the most sportsmanship as well. So that is a dominant performance that is exceptional on every level. So congratulations to all. And that is my report.
Thank you.
Madam President, if I may, I've said this a few times when we've done really well at Science Olympiad, but my boys were on the very first Science Olympiad team and they didn't do that well. Like Wickland at the time did not do that well. And I remember sitting there in the audience and watching one school go up time after time after time after time and saying, someday that's going to be Lammersville. And it's just great to see that other districts get to see us go time after time after time. Fantastic job to the entire student population.
Thank you. And moving on to item B, district maintenance and operations report.
Good evening. Just a quick update. So the pool, unfortunately, is still being difficult. One of the heaters is leaking, but the water is still 82 degrees, so we're good right now. It'll be repaired tomorrow. The autofill valve still has not come in, so we're having to check the water manually. Adding water is needed. We have a pinhole gas leak on our side of the earthquake valve at Altamont Elementary. It's being repaired tomorrow after school. There's no danger or anything there. We have underground domestic water leak at the high school on the C building. It's being repaired Friday after school. For staffing, for our grounds candidate declined the position, so we're interviewing 3 or 4 people next week for that position. We have 3 custodial positions right now, 2 at the K-8s and 1 at the high school. There's interviews next week for those positions as well. Cleaning plans for spring break are being worked out right now as we speak, and then right now there's no civic permit issues currently. So.
Thank you very much. Moving on to our next items, action items. Item 11A, consider and potentially select a trustee area map and election sequencing schedule. I'd like to open this up to discussion by the board, but first I'd like to begin with my own thoughts on this item. I personally am in favor of Orange Map B, and my primary reasons are: 1, it preserves the rural community of interest, and I think that's important for that community of interest. It maintains their integrity and ensure that their unique needs and perspectives are represented in the trustee area. And the second reason I am in favor of Orange Map B is that the community input has been largely supportive of that map, and it takes into account, for example, the input we received just tonight, as well as input at a previous meeting where we linked the area of Byron to Cuesta and recognized that geographical connection and that it made sense. And so taking the community's preferences and concerns into account is the primary reason why I support Orange Map B.
And I want to thank all of the community members who gave their input, because I think when I first saw the maps, it was a little overwhelming since we've never done this before. But I personally, I think the community input helped a lot. And I do like Orange B map as well. I was going through the districting rules and goals, starting with the federal laws, and in that all of the maps comply with the federal laws. And then going down the second bank of criteria, the California criteria, again, in prioritized order, number one is that the areas are geographically contiguous and all the maps meet that criteria. I think the second bullet, undivided neighborhoods and communities of interest, that is where our maps show the biggest difference. But going through each of the maps with a fine-tooth comb and figuring out how many maps actually break up certain neighborhoods and how many maps keep neighborhoods intact, I think B does the best job, because it does keep 5 of the neighborhoods intact completely, and the rural areas intact completely. So for a total of 6 areas. And there are only 2 villages, Altamont and Bethany, that are broken up. Now, I don't necessarily like that Bethany's broken up into 3 parts, but again, with these maps, we can't pick and choose exactly how we want it, because we have to work with the census and where folks live. So I do think Orange B map meets that criteria the best. And again, in terms of public feedback, I think that we have put into place in this map some of the feedback that we got from the community. And I know that population growth is a consideration, but I feel like it's so far down in the line of the criteria that it's, and since we've already grown so much since the 2010 census, that it's not going to make a huge difference. I think, so that's my rationale for Orange B.
Thank you. Any other comments or thoughts?
I too prefer Orange B. I believe it best represents the public input that we had on the maps of linking Cuesta with the area north of Byron Highway, and also keeping the rural community of interest as together as possible. And that's my rationale for preferring Orange B.
Any other board members like to comment?
Among the 7 maps, I do prefer the Orange B. First thing is definitely complies with the law, which is AB 764. And the second point is, as my fellow trustees did mention, I completely agree. It takes into account the community feedback that was provided, and it is structured in a way that contributes to the feedback that was given. So I'm in favor of Orange B.
Thank you. Trustee Clements?
Yeah, I guess I'll go last. The last shall be first, and the first shall be. I'm in favor of Orange B as well. I too believe that it best matches the community feedback. I mean, it was built based on the initial community feedback. And then the community feedback that we've had subsequent to unveiling, if you will, Orange B and Lime. Orange B more closely dovetails with the feedback from the community. I think that it does. It actually gives a nod towards future growth, not from a numerical standpoint, but from a logistical standpoint, because north of Byron Highway is going to be more closely aligned with the mountain, with the interior of Mountain House, and that was one of the more vociferous community feedback that we had, was that the rural area is actually one of the more important communities of interest, and I understand and empathize with that. That rural community has been around and was the bedrock of Lammersville School District for well over 100 years. And the interior of Mountain House, I love it. I live there myself, but it's more homogeneous, right? It's so for me, Orange B dovetails with known future growth. It's less confusing to me. It more closely speaks to the community input and comments that we've heard. So for me, Orange B is the clear winner.
Okay. And I don't have any blue comment cards for this agenda item, and I don't see any members of the public wishing to comment. So this time, I'm going to make a motion to select Orange B with the election sequencing posted on the district website, Area 1, 2, and 3, up for election in 2024, and Area 4 and 5, up for election in 2026.
I'll second.
Based on a motion by Trustee Olson and seconded by Trustee Boulay, student trustee preferential vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any, this motion does not need a voice vote, right? Any opposed? All right, so the motion passes with 5 ayes and no noes. Moving on to action item B, consider and potentially adopt governing board resolution number 23-24-11, initiating a proposal to the San Joaquin County Committee on School District Organization for the adoption of bi-trustee area elections, submission to the San Joaquin County Committee on School District Organization. Do I have a motion for this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Oh, who has that?
You can give it to Trustee Clements.
Based on a motion by Trustee Pombo and seconded by Trustee Clements, student trustee preferential vote.
Aye.
All in favor will be a roll call vote.
Lisa Boulay,
Aye.
Colin Clements,
Aye.
Benita Daniel,
Aye.
Stephanie Olson,
Aye.
David Pombo.
Aye.
The motion passes with 5 ayes. Moving on to item C, consider approval of the tennis court agreement with the Mountain House Community Services District. Staff report.
Yes, we entered into an agreement for usage of our tennis court with a community program, out of which the net proceeds are donated back to our high school athletic program. We recommend approval of the program.
Move to approve the tennis court agreement with the Mountain House Community Services District.
Second.
Based on a motion by Trustee Boulay and seconded by Trustee Pombo, student trustee preferential vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes with 5 ayes and no noes. Item D, consider approval of second reading and adoption of updated board policies and administrative regulations. Staff report.
Yes, this is our normal process, so we recommend approval after the second reading here of the BPARs.
Move to approve of second reading and adoption of updated board policies and administrative regulations.
Second.
Based on a motion by Trustee Daniel and seconded by Trustee Pombo, student trustee preferential vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes with 5 ayes and no noes.
Madam President, I would like to say thank you to the committee for, after being on that for 2 years, I know how much work it is, so thank you.
It's riveting reading.
Page turner.
Yeah. Action item E, consider approval of second reading and adoption of the 2024 through 2027 EL Master Plan. Staff report.
Again, similar to the BPARs, this is our an adoption process for the EL Master Plan for 24 through 27.
Move to approve the second reading and adoption of the 24-27 EL Master Plan.
Second.
Based on a motion by Trustee Boulay and seconded by Trustee Clements, student trustee preferential vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes with 5 ayes and no noes. Moving on to action item F, consider approval of governing board resolution number 23-24-12, permitting an excused absence for student participation in religious exercise or instruction. Staff report.
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. This is really an effort by the district in the small amount of cases that come forward to reclaim ADA. So in order to be able to do that, the board has to pass this resolution to go along with the actions in the BPAR.
Move to approve governing board resolution 23-24-12, permitting an excused absence for student participation in religious exercises or instruction.
Second.
Based on a motion by Trustee Boulay and seconded by Trustee Pombo, student trustee preferential vote.
Aye.
Roll call.
Lisa Boulay,
Aye.
Colin Clements,
Aye.
Benita Daniel,
Aye.
Stephanie Olson,
Aye.
David Pombo.
Aye.
Motion passes with 5 ayes.
President, I do have a few questions with regards to this. And I already shared the questions with Dr. Nicholas. These are more than questions, they are just clarifications which I would like the community to get themselves much more clear about. So thank you, Erin. The first question which I had asked Dr. Nicholas was, basically I'm an Indian by birth and I come from India. Like India is a country with rich culture and heritage, and we have numerous religious events. So when we have mentioned in the discussion that we are providing excused absences for religious events, my question was, do we have a list of religious events that we are sharing with the community, saying that, okay, for these, you're going to be getting an excused absence?
We don't have any definitive list because we know that there's such a vast array of different faiths and the customs and the practices that go with that. So we don't have an exhaustive list of any kind. And to date, we haven't had any concerns where we've generated the need to create such a list.
Thank you. My second question was, how many days are we providing as excused absences pertaining to the religious event?
So for the religious, like the full day absences, it's limited to 4 days per month. There's other things for might be partial day absences where a student might leave early or arrive to school late for like faith formation and things like that. But like full day absences, it would be limited to 4 days, and that's outlined in the education code.
Thank you. So a follow-up to that would be, so we already have a certain number of excused absences.
Correct.
So are these 4 days in addition to the already assigned ones, or are we,
So each type of excused absence has a different code in area. So for example, students that have parent excused illness absences, that's one code. There's 10 of those allowed per school year, and then we have others that might be a medical absence that's excused, might be a religious absence that's excused, visiting with military personnel, immediate family members. So all of those are separate. So these days would be separate from those other days. So this wouldn't count as, for example, part of the 10 illness days.
Got it. Thank you very much.
I wanted to thank Trustee Daniel for the questions. They did, actually, a couple of them were thought-provoking, so I have some questions that I didn't have before, if that's okay. The determination of whether somebody is truly affiliated with a given religion, that's not in our purview, correct?
That's
Okay.
correct.
I just wanted to make sure. Thanks.
Moving on to item 12, information and discussion items. Item A, LUSD safety drill. Staff report.
Yeah, before we turn this over to Executive Director Busatil, there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes for this, and there's some key staff members, Executive Director Busatil, Associate Soup Harrison, and others on the team and the safety committee and board members on the safety committee. This is a big endeavor, but she wanted to give you an update. I wanted to pay some compliments.
All right, so good evening, President Olson, trustees, Dr. Nicholas, thank you for having me here. So it's going to be an overview, so I won't give all of the nitty-gritty details, but I wanted to share about the upcoming first responder drill that is going to be taking place in our district. And as Dr. Nicholas referenced, it's something that has been in the works for quite some time. So the purpose of this big drill is a large-scale verification of our site safety procedures. We would like to assess the communication between site and district staff in the event of an emergency. We would also like to see how there's interagency communication for a large-scale emergency, and then also the response to said emergency. So we want to make sure that we're testing all of those systems as much as we can before we have a need to use them in a real life scenario. So logistics, so this drill is scheduled for March 27th. And so that is during our spring break for our students and most of our staff. And so we're slated to have the high school essentially closed down to the public from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. And so that includes agency arrival and the setup and the cleanup. The location will be at Mountain House High School and also the Cortez parking lot and multi-purpose room for staging areas for the first responder teams. So what to expect on the day of the event? There will be a lot of sirens, a lot of loud noises. There will be emergency vehicles, in particular going up and down Parco Avenue, exiting and entering Mountain House High School parking lot by the tennis courts, and also at the Cortez Elementary School campus. There will be the San Joaquin County STARS units will be conducting traffic control at those areas of Parco Avenue and Cosenza, Parco Avenue and Modena, and Parco Avenue and Tradition, because those are the areas that we anticipate being impacted the most. In addition to that, we'll also have signage, just reminding the community, both digital signage as well as traditional sandwich board signs. So participants, so it's the Lammersville Unified School District, the San Joaquin County Sheriff's Department, Mountain House Fire Department, and the American Medical Response. And today, this is a voluntary activity for our staff members to participate in, and we've had more than 75 staff members sign up to participate. And just a reminder, this is during their spring break, but this is something that the staff feel is important for us to do as well, and they're showing that through their participation, their willingness to participate as well during the drill. So communication, so we have our first communication this evening. The initial communication out to students and, staff and parents will happen on March 13th with a reminder communication on March 25th. And then we will have additional communication at all of the digital marquees at each one of our school sites, March 22nd through the 27th. It's kind of tiny, but those are the two communications that have been drafted. And so those will come out from me so that if anyone in the community has any questions, my contact information will be there so they can reach out to me, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that they may have. Anyone have any questions for me?
I don't have any questions, but I'm going to let you know, as part of the safety committee, I'm taking that day off so I can be an observer, because, I've watched from, as Dr. Nicholas said, behind the scenes, the work that everyone's doing. And actually, I do have a question, because I know that in the safety committee meetings, it was addressed that you wanted high school teachers first to sign up. And then if you couldn't fill that in, you'd get other teachers. What does it look like as far as percentage of teachers from the high school that signed up to participate?
I would say, if my recollection is correct, about a fourth of the teachers are from the staff members are from the high school. And then we had a lot of participation from our elementaries as well. So everyone kind of came together. Like, as the first response came in and we have a lot of our Mountain House High School staff respond, I was excited. And then when that part moved on to the next phase of inviting the elementary schools, those responses came in just as quickly. So it was really positive.
Can I ask a question about the fire department participation? Are they going to have two crews on that day so that if they do get a call, one crew will still be able to stay on site with the drill?
Yes, there'll be multiple engines. Yeah, so there's a more concentrated effort to have whatever calls we need to have answered within the community, but then also to make sure that there's a comprehensive response for the participation in the drill as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
I would just like to say thank you to Director Busatil and Associate Superintendent Harrison and everybody else that's involved in the safety committee, as well as the first responders who have been instrumental in planning this, and a lot of work. Thank you all.
Ditto.
Yeah.
I'd like to share comment on giving credits to the safety committee, because I read the background and then I went to the discussion. So I did see that March 16, 2016 was when the first full scale was conducted. So I think this is going to be the second one after 2016. So I really appreciate that the safety committee has thought about it and putting in all this planning and putting in all this effort towards it. I really wanted to be on the March 27th, but I'll be visiting my son in LA. So I have a request. I did see in the discussion that there's going to be additional sites, school sites where the drill is going to take place eventually. So I would like to be posted about the dates so that I can participate in one of them.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item 13, calendar. Item A, Monday, March 11th, 2024, the San Joaquin County Committee meeting at 6 p.m. in the District Office Boardroom. Item B, Wednesday, March 13th, 2024, Safety Committee meeting at 3:45 p.m. in the District Office Boardroom. Item C, Thursday, March 14th, 2024, District Parent Advisory Committee meeting at 6 p.m. in the Professional Development Center. Item D, Tuesday, March 19th, 2024, Education Committee meeting at 6:30 p.m. in the Professional Development Center. Item E, Wednesday, March 20th, 2024, is the next regular governing board meeting at 7 p.m. in the District Office Boardroom. Item F, Thursday, March 21st, 2024, is the TED Ed event at 6 p.m. in the Mountain House High School Theater. Item G, Monday through Friday, March 25th through 29th, is the spring break, no school for students. And item H, Wednesday, March 27th, 2024, is the LUSD safety drill from 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Mountain House High School. In a moment, we will be adjourning to closed session, where we will be discussing the following items. Item A, Public Employee Discipline, Dismissal, Release, Complaint, Government Code Section 54957. Item B, consider approval of paid, unpaid leave of absence for classified employee number 124249 from 2/3/24 through 8/3/24. Item C, conference with real property negotiators, Government Code Section 54956.8. And item D, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to paragraph 2 of subdivision D of section 54956.9 of the Government Code, one case, a letter from attorney Scott Rafferty attached.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Based on a motion by trustee Pombo and seconded by trustee Boulay, student trustee preferential vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned with 5 ayes and no noes to close session at 8:13 p.m. We're returning from closed session at 9:16 p.m. to report out on actions taken. Closed session item A, on a motion by trustee Clements and seconded by trustee Boulay, the board adopted a resolution pursuant to the applicable provision of Education Code and authorized the district superintendent or his designee to notify certain certificated employees of their release from this probation, from her probationary positions by the following vote. 5 ayes, no noes. Closed session item B, consider approval of paid, unpaid leave of absence for classified employee number 124249 from 2/3/2024 through 8/3/2024. The board took action on a motion by trustee Clements and seconded by trustee Boulay to approve paid, unpaid leave, long-term leave of absence for classified employee number 124249 from 2/3/2024 to 8/3/2024 by the following vote. 5 ayes and no noes. I will now entertain a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Based on a motion by trustee Boulay and seconded by trustee Clements, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? With 5 ayes and no noes, we are adjourned from closed session at 9:17 p.m.